Are y'all familiar with Boar's Head? So I just want y'all to be aware of what's going on before we get into the reaction video. Boar's Head has had a Listeria outbreak. Check it out. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into it.
Welcome back. It's 12:22, and this next story is not for those with weak stomachs. The investigation into the deadly Listeria outbreak connected to Boar's Head Deli is continuing, and some pretty gross details have now come to light. A plant in Virginia has been linked to the deaths of at least 9 people and hospitalizations of about 50 others across 18 different states. Nate Foy has more.
Newly acquired records show this Boar's Head processing plant in Virginia has been tied to a deadly food poisoning outbreak and repeatedly violated federal regulations, including the presence of mold, insects, liquid dripping from ceilings, and meat and fat residue on walls, floors, and equipment. Victims were sickened with listeria after eating deli meats processed here. A woman who survived her bout in the hospital recounts her symptoms.
I just want to say it was hell. I've never been so sick in all my life.
U.S. Agriculture Department officials say the plant will remain closed, quote, until the establishment is able to demonstrate it can produce safe product. Boar's Head officials halted production at the plant in late July. Records didn't contain any test results that confirm listeria in the factory, but the bacteria thrives in hard-to-clean cracks and crevices. Pests such as flies can easily spread the bacteria, and once ingested, it can spread to several organs and cause all other kinds of complications.
And what can happen is the listeria, the pathogen, can cross from your gut into your blood and causes invasive illness.
Boar's Head has recalled more than 7 million pounds of its products.
When in doubt, throw it out. So if you have deli meat sitting in your refrigerator, or quite frankly in your freezer, and you don't know where it came from, I would recommend being.
Let me tell you something, bro. That's the type of stuff that'll make me go over to being vegetarian, man. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. It's the type of stuff that'll turn you into being a vegetarian, because one of the worst things that's happening to us is our foods, man. Our foods are absolutely trash. And you don't even realize it, really, because you can hear about it. You know what I'm saying? You can watch a Netflix documentary about it, but you'll forget, and then you'll see that good old bacon that's sitting there on the side. Well, let me tell you, bro, you don't even realize it until you get out of the country. When you get out of the country, and that's one of the biggest things that I think that people don't go to India. Let me preface this by saying don't go to India, all right? Of all of the places that you can go for a food experience, maybe not all of India, but don't go to the regular parts of India where it's overpopulated and you got 1 billion plus people out here cooking food with their feet, all right? But go to the other clean places so that we don't be having foodborne illnesses. But when you go over to other countries, I like to often at times refer to Tokyo, Japan, all right? Over in Tokyo, Japan, man, it just tastes different. The food tastes different naturally. You don't need no extras on it. You don't need no ketchup. You don't need no hot sauce. You don't need no extra, none of that. It's just perfectly seasoned. It just tastes good. It's so flavorful. You can tell when you start to go over to overseas how many preservatives and all of the different things and sugar and extra flavoring and color number 7s that's in that junk, because that junk just tastes it. You can't even describe it. It's like flavorful without sugar. It's flavorful without the extra sugar. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So you don't even realize it until you get out of the country. But let me play it. Let me go into this a little bit more.
Bugs, mold, and mildew. That is what inspectors say they found at a Boar's Head plant.
Why are inspectors only going in once they start to see people die? I thought that inspectors were supposed to be there in order to do preventative maintenance. Let me tell you something, bro. Every restaurant that I've ever been involved in, whether there was mine, whether I opened it myself, or I was a silent investor in it, we had to be on top of everything for them food inspectors to come in. Real talk. You had to make sure this was separated from that. No, when I be seeing even the videos that's inside of the United States of America from these restaurants, like I've went down the dark path on YouTube before and Instagram and stuff, and I've seen, where it be rats crawling up and through the pop-ass chicken closed place and stuff like that. One of the nastiest things that I've ever seen in my entire life is back when I was a little kid. I was a little kid, and my grandmother and them, they had opened up some restaurants or whatever. But no, not even during that time. It was when I was a teenager, and my uncle had ran a restaurant, and they had opened up some restaurants. But before they actually selected the location and wound up building it out themselves, they went and looked at previously owned restaurants. Now, one of the things that I teach people, if you looked at some of my master classes inside of the Patreon, if y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, you need to go through and watch all of those videos. Even the older ones, you need to go back and watch those videos. One of the things that you can do in order to circumvent having to meet new requirements as far as being grandfathered in as far as what the requirements are, right? When you build out a restaurant, you got to put in a certain hood, right? You got to put in certain cold air, taking the bad air out and bringing better air in, right? The cold air, I forgot what his name or whatever, right? But all of the different regulations and the bathroom has to have this, and you can't have this many seats in it if it's this, and if it's not, doesn't have both a men's and a women's bathroom that's available to the general public, then you can't expand the seating past a certain amount, depending on what your state is, your county and your city and all of that. But all of them have different rules. But you can usually grandfather your way into the older rules as far as not having to invest as much money into a restaurant if you then take over what a previous restaurant was already approved for. So what we did was we started evaluating and hunting through the different restaurants by how. Thank you for the PayPal. I'm going to read that shortly. We went and looked at some of the previous restaurants before we decided to build our own. And let me tell you, man, nope. I remember we went into this previously owned Asian restaurant who was no longer there, and they left their freezers in there and stuff like that. They had the big freezers that they would keep all of the meat in. Man, we went inside of that freezer. It was blood everywhere and stuff like that. I said, nope. I honestly, and I know this was a this was a disservice to all of the other Asian restaurants and stuff like that, other Chinese food restaurants. I didn't even eat Chinese food for at least 2 years after that. After I went into some of them Chinese food restaurants that used to be there and some of these old restaurants, I would cut out the entire palate before I would go and eat there. Until I had went to P.F. Chang's, and so I had got my appetite back for it. But some of the stuff that you see in these restaurants is crazy. And I would always ask myself, how were they even able to pass inspections to get to the point to where they're able to sell food to the general public in the first place? Because they will be on me. On and on and on. And dog, you had to have, if you had the food thing, you know how they had the little containers or whatever, it had to be at a certain temperature. All of that stuff, bro. They played no games whatsoever.
That's been linked to a nationwide Listeria outbreak that's being blamed for at least 9 deaths. The health violations are detailed in records released by the Agriculture Department. Some specifics include insects in or around deli meats, mold and mildew near sinks where employees wash their hands, a, quote, rancid smell in a cooler, and leaking or pooling water in the plant. One puddle so bad it had, quote, green algal growth inside. Crazy. And
Boar's Head is supposed to be like a high-end product. When you go into it, and this is how you know marketing is everything. Marketing is everything. So take that for what for what it is. But when you go into it in the grocery store and you see Boar's Head, it's supposed to be like a higher end, a better quality of product that they're selling in the grocery stores. But when you actually go to the source of how they make it, the marketing is much different than what it is that they make it like.
Kowalczyk joins us now from Washington. She's the director of the Institute for Food Safety and Nutrition Security at the George Washington University. Thank you so much for joining us. How does it get this bad? How does this happen?
Well, thank you for having me. And I think it's very unfortunate that it got this bad. Clearly, there were multiple breakdowns in food safety systems, both within the establishment Listeria monocytogenes is a pathogen, a very deadly pathogen that we know.
They're just going to rebrand. A lot of people saying boar's head is over. No, you can change it. You can do boar's legs. It don't have to be boar's head. It can be something completely different. Just rebrand, repackage, and we back in business, baby.
Associated with ready-to-eat products like deli meats. There's been numerous outbreaks in the past. But obviously, there were breakdowns at the establishment when you look at all these inspection reports around sanitation, around physical hazards, around record
now
keeping.
They shut it down because people
repeated
died.
Over time, which suggests that there were organizational and cultural issues in the establishment around food safety. Unfortunately, our regulatory system also had a failure in that this problem went on for quite some time, despite documentation by inspectors, but yet the plant wasn't closed down or they didn't recall the product.
Barbara, tell us what happens. Walk us through a typical inspection for something like this for people who may be buying any kind of deli meat from now on. Like, what's the normal course of events? How does it go?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm not an inspector. I'm an academic. But under USDA regulations, every plant that produces meat and poultry products has to be inspected on a daily basis. So that means that every day an inspector goes through, they know the regulations, they're going to document those, check to make sure that the establishment's meeting those regulations. And when they don't, they write what's called a non-compliance report, or it's sometimes referred to as an NR. And those NRs document problems in the plant. And what was released shows that over the past year, there have been multiple violations, as you already pointed out, that suggest ongoing sanitation issues. Meat and protein residue on equipment, on the walls, and that suggests that they weren't cleaning as thoroughly as they should.
That's nasty, bro. It's nasty. Like I said, every day I'll be thinking to myself, it's time to switch over to that vegetarian. We're going to make the transition one day. We're going to get there.